Who can say no to the smell of dough, tomato, and basil rising from a wood-fired oven? Pizza is more than a quick bite. It is a centuries-old Italian craft that now touches nearly every corner of the globe. Behind every pizzeria sign, there is struggle, sacrifice, and hope. The journey you're about to watch belongs to one man who risked everything for it: Antonio. There's a small pizzeria in Naples, Italy. 6 tables. Red and white checkered tablecloths. The smell of wood smoke and fresh basil. An older man stands at the oven. His hands move with precision. Flour on his apron. Gray in his hair. This is Antonio. He's 45 years old. 20 years ago, he owned 4 restaurants in New York. He was called the Pizza King of Queens. Magazine covers, lines around the block, $4 million in revenue. Today, he makes pizza in the same neighborhood where he grew up. This is the story of a man who crossed an ocean to chase the American dream, and then had to cross it again after losing everything. Naples, 1986. Antonio was born in the Spanish quarters of Naples. Narrow streets, laundry hanging between buildings, voices echoing off stone walls. His family didn't have much. His father worked at the docks. His mother cleaned houses, but they had enough. His grandfather owned a pizzeria. Small place. Been in the family for 40 years. Antonio grew up in that kitchen. The heat of the oven. The smell of yeast and tomatoes. His grandfather's hands teaching him how to stretch the dough. Feel it, Antonio. The dough tells you when it's ready. You don't tell the dough. Antonio was 15 when it happened. His grandfather called the family together, closed the restaurant early. Everyone knew something was wrong. "I can't keep the doors open," his grandfather said. "The debt is too much." 40 years. Gone. Antonio watched his grandfather cry for the first time. This man who survived the war, who built a business from nothing, broken by numbers on paper. That night, Antonio made a promise to himself. One day, he would reopen that pizzeria. But not in Naples, in America, where dreams actually came true. The decision, 1994. Antonio was 22 years old, working in a restaurant, making decent money, but Naples felt too small. The economy was struggling. Tourism was down. Young people were leaving. His cousin had moved to New York 5 years earlier, Queens. He said there were opportunities, jobs, space to grow. Antonio saved for 2 years. Every extra dollar went into a jar under his bed. His mother didn't want him to go. His father understood. "You're like your grandfather," his father said. "You need to build something." In the spring of 1994, Antonio boarded a plane at Naples Airport. 1 suitcase, $300 in his pocket. A piece of paper with his cousin's address. He didn't speak much English, just restaurant words: pizza, cheese, oven. Thank you. The plane lifted off. Antonio watched Naples disappear below him. The bay, the volcano, everything he knew. He was terrified and excited and certain he was doing the right thing. New York, 1994. JFK Airport was chaos. Antonio didn't understand the signs, didn't understand the announcements. Everyone was moving so fast, his cousin picked him up in a car that barely ran. They drove through Queens. Antonio stared out the window. The buildings were so tall, the streets are so wide, everything was so much. His cousin lived in a tiny apartment. 3 other guys from Italy, 1 bathroom, kitchen the size of a closet. Antonio slept on a couch that smelled like cigarettes. "Welcome to America," his cousin said. The next day, Antonio started looking for work. He found a job washing dishes at a pizzeria in Astoria. $10 an hour. Cash. The owner barely looked at him. You work hard. You keep the job. You don't, you're out. Antonio worked hard. He washed dishes for 6 months. Then they moved him to the kitchen. Prep work, chopping vegetables, grating cheese, making sauce. He watched everything. How they made the dough, how they managed the oven temperature, how they dealt with customers. He was learning the American way of pizza. Faster, bigger, different from Naples. But the principles were the same. At night, he went to English classes at a community center. During the day, he worked. He sent money home to his parents every month. Not much. $50, $100 when he could. This was the life. Work, save, learn, repeat. The climb. Antonio moved from dishwasher to cook to a pizza maker. His pizzas were different, lighter, more delicate. Customers started asking for his pies specifically. Who made this one? The Italian guy. Antonio? Tell him it's perfect. He moved to a better restaurant, then another. Each time, slightly better pay, slightly better conditions. He was building a reputation, the guy who made real Neapolitan pizza. He lived cheap, shared apartments, rode the subway, ate at work. Every dollar he didn't need went into savings. He had a goal. 5 years, he told himself. 5 years, and I open my own place. He met Maria in 1997. She worked at a bakery in his neighborhood. Second-generation Italian American. Her grandparents came from Sicily. They got married in a small ceremony, city hall, dinner with friends. Maria understood the dream. She worked. She was saved. They were building towards something together. The shop, 2000. Antonio was 28 years old. He had $25,000 saved. It wasn't enough for most places, but he found a tiny space in Hunters Point. Rent was reasonable. The landlord liked him. You remind me of my father, the landlord said. He came from Italy too, worked his whole life. You'll do good here. Antonio signed the lease, used his savings for equipment, a small wood-fired oven, 8 tables, red and white checkered tablecloths like his grandfather used. He called it Papazzo Mio. Maria helped him paint the walls. His cousin helped install the oven. Friends from the restaurant scene came by to offer advice. The neighborhood welcomed him. Opening day was quiet. A few neighbors, a couple walking by. Antonio made every pizza himself, took his time, did it right. This is incredible, one customer said. Where did you learn to make pizza like this? From my grandfather, Antonio said, in Naples. Word spread slowly at first, then faster. Food bloggers found him. Local papers wrote about him. The authentic Neapolitan guy in Queens. Antonio's pizzas tasted like Italy, like tradition, like something real. Lines started forming. On weekends, people waited an hour for a table. The rise, 2001 to 2005, Papazzo Mio, became a destination. People came from Manhattan, from New Jersey. Tourists added it to their Queens itinerary. Antonio worked 7 days a week. Mornings preparing dough, afternoons managing the kitchen, evenings working the oven. Maria handled the front. They were a team. The money started coming in. Real money. They moved to a better apartment. Started talking about kids, about the future. We should open a second location, Maria said. Antonio was nervous. I want to make sure we do it right. You always do it right, she said. In 2002, they opened a second Papazzo Mio in Park Slope. Bigger space, 12 tables, same menu. same quality. Antonio hired 2 pizza makers he trusted, trained them himself. Both locations were packed every night. By 2005, there were 4 Papazzo Mio restaurants: Hunters Point, Park Slope, Williamsburg, and Manhattan. Revenue hit $4 million a year. Antonio employed 45 people, most of them immigrants like him. He paid well, treated them like family. He brought his parents to visit from Naples. His father stood in the Manhattan location and cried. "Your grandfather would be so proud," his father said. Antonio had done it. The American dream. The promise he made to himself at 15. He'd built something real, something that mattered. Magazine profiles called him Queen's Pizza King. Food critics praised his authenticity. Other restaurant owners asked for his advice. He was 33 years old, and he'd made it. The approach, 2006. The men wore expensive suits. They had business cards with impressive titles: investment firm, private equity, growth capital. They came to the Hunters Point location on a Tuesday afternoon, asked to speak with Antonio. "We've been watching your business," the lead guy said. His name was Richard. "You've built something special, but you're thinking too small." Antonio listened. 4 locations? You could have 50, 100, national franchise, Papazzo Mio in every major city. We're talking $20 million in revenue within 5 years. They showed him projections, charts, numbers that made Antonio's head spin. "We provide the capital. You provide the brand and the recipes. We split the profits. You'd walk away with $2 million up front just for signing." $2 million. Antonio's entire savings was around $300,000. $2 million was generational wealth. Money for his kids, money for his parents. Security forever. "I need to think about it," Antonio said. "Of course," Richard said, "but don't think too long. Opportunities like this don't wait." The decision, 2007. Antonio talked to Maria. She was cautious. "Do we need this?" she asked. "We're doing well. We're happy." "But imagine what we could build," Antonio said. "Real legacy, real impact." He talked to other restaurant owners. Half said go for it. Half said be careful. "Read the contract carefully," one owner warned. "These guys are sharks." Antonio got the contract. 60 pages. Legal language. Terms he didn't fully understand. He tried to read it. Got confused. He felt stupid. He should have hired a lawyer. He knew he should have. But he was embarrassed. Didn't want to admit he couldn't understand it. Didn't want to look weak. The investors kept calling. "Everything okay? Any questions?" "No, it's good," Antonio said. "Just reviewing." He focused on the parts he understood. $2 million upfront, 50-50 profit split. His name on every location. Creative control over recipes and quality. That last part was important. Creative control. That meant he'd still be making the decisions about the food. About what Papazzo Mio meant. He signed. The expansion. 2008. The money came through. $2 million in Antonio's account. More money than he'd ever seen. He paid off the mortgages on all 4 locations. Bought his parents a house in Naples. Put money away for the future. The investors moved fast. Too fast, Antonio thought. But they said that's how business works at this level. They opened locations in Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. All within 8 months. Antonio tried to visit each one, train the staff, make sure they understood the recipes, the technique, the philosophy. But there were too many. He couldn't be everywhere. The investors hired their own managers, their own kitchen staff. "Don't worry," Richard said. "We've got this under control." The changes, 2009. Antonio started noticing things. The mozzarella was different, cheaper. Not the imported buffalo mozzarella he specified. "It's too expensive at this scale," the operations manager said. "We found a domestic supplier. Similar quality, fraction of the price." "It's not similar," Antonio said. "It's completely different." The customers won't notice. The dough was different too. Pre-made, frozen, shipped from a central facility. "We can't have each location making dough from scratch," the manager said. "The inconsistency is too high. This way, every pizza is exactly the same." "But that's not how you make Neapolitan pizza," Antonio protested. "It's how you make it at scale." Antonio tried to push back, demanded meetings, cited the contract. "You have creative oversight," the lawyer said, "but operational decisions are ours. It's in Section 12, Paragraph 4. Antonio pulled out his contract, read Section 12, Paragraph 4. The language was fuzzy. Creative oversight didn't mean what he thought it meant. The Collapse 2010 reviews started changing. Not what it used to be. Disappointing compared to the original Queens locations. Tastes like every other chain pizza place. The new locations were failing, revenue dropping, customers complaining. Antonio's original 4 Queens locations were still good. He made sure of that. But the brand was being destroyed everywhere else. He called emergency meetings with the investors. "We need to go back to the original recipes," Antonio said. "Real ingredients, real technique." "That's not financially viable," Richard said. "The margins don't work." "Then close the bad locations," Antonio said. "Go back to what worked." "We've invested $12 million, Richard said. "We're not walking away." Antonio felt it slipping. Everything he'd built, his name, his reputation, his grandfather's legacy. "I want to buy back the company," Antonio said. Richard smiled. Not a friendly smile. "Sure, $8 million. Antonio had already spent most of the $2 million. He'd never saved for this. Never imagined he'd need to buy back his own business. "I don't have $8 million, Antonio said. "Then I guess we continue as planned." The end, 2011. The company filed for bankruptcy in 2010. 22 locations closed. Hundreds of employees lost their jobs. Antonio's name was on everything. The failed restaurants, the news stories, the lawsuits from suppliers. The investors walked away fine. That's how they structured it. They'd taken management fees, consulting fees. They'd made money even as the company collapsed. Antonio got nothing. His original 4 locations were seized as assets, sold off. He didn't even get to keep what he'd built. He was 38 years old, broke, his name destroyed. The Pizza King of Queens was now the guy who ran his own brand into the ground. Never mind that it wasn't his fault. Never mind that he'd been taken advantage of. That's not how people saw it. Friends stopped calling. The restaurant community avoided him. He couldn't get a job. Nobody wanted to hire the failed franchise guy. Maria stood by him. But he could see the disappointment, the worry. They had a daughter now. Bills, responsibilities. "We'll figure it out," Maria said. But Antonio couldn't figure it out. Not in New York. Everywhere he went, he saw his failure. Closed restaurants with his name still on the signs. Articles about the bankruptcy. His own face representing collapse. He couldn't breathe in Queens anymore. Going home, 2011. Antonio told Maria he needed to go back to Naples. Just for a while. To think. To figure out what's next. "How long?" she asked. "I don't know," he said. She didn't want him to go, but she understood. Sometimes you need to go home. His parents met him at the airport. His father looked older. His mother hugged him for a long time. They didn't ask many questions. They didn't need to. They could see it in his face. Antonio moved into his old bedroom. The same room he'd slept in as a kid. The same view of the narrow street. He spent the first month doing nothing. Walking the city. Sitting in cafes. Avoiding people he knew. When old friends asked what he was doing back, he gave vague answers. Just visiting. Taking a break. Figuring some things out. Starting over 2012, money was running out. Antonio needed to work. He started asking around. Kitchen jobs, prep work, anything. His pride was gone. He'd take anything. He found work at a pizzeria near the port. Tourist place. Nothing special. The owner needed help and didn't ask too many questions. Antonio made pizzas, washed dishes, mopped floors, the same work he'd done 20 years earlier when he first came to America. Except now he was 40, with gray in his hair, with everything he'd built turned to ash. Some days were okay. He focused on the work, the rhythm of the kitchen, the simple pleasure of making something with his hands. Other days were hard. He'd see tourists with American accents, hear English conversations, feel the ghost of everything he'd lost. The small place, 2013. Antonio had saved a little money. Not much, a few thousand euros. He found a tiny space near his old neighborhood, the Spanish Quarters. 6 tables, cheap rent. The landlord remembered his grandfather. "Your family made the best pizza in Naples," the landlord said. "I still remember." Antonio opened a small pizzeria. No big plans, no dreams of expansion. Just a place to make pizza the way his grandfather taught him. He called it da nonno, from Grandpa. Red and white checkered tablecloths, wood-fired oven, simple menu, margarita, marinara, whatever vegetables were fresh that day. He did everything himself. Made the dough in the morning, prepped ingredients in the afternoon, worked the oven at night. The neighborhood started coming. Not tourists, not food bloggers, just locals. People who lived nearby. People who wanted good, honest pizza. Word spread slowly, the way it had in Queens all those years ago. Thank you for watching Antonio's story. If it moved you, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to follow and stay tuned for more real stories.